So have you felt like your content has sort of plateaued or stalled recently? You know, you've been posting consistently, but you just haven't been able to push over that plateau. Maybe it's 200 views a video, right? Maybe it's 300 views a video. You're doing what all the music gurus and marketing people say. It's like post consistently. You know, Gary Vee's like, just post 1,000 times a day, man. And so you're out there posting, 1,001 times a day. And you're still noticing that the only thing that's consistent there is that you're consistently getting the same amount of views and it's not growing past that. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a reason for that, okay? So what if the reason that the content had stalled out is not really anything inherently wrong with your music or you as an artist, but it has to do with our approach to content, okay? So what I want to talk about are the characteristics, first off, of content that does connect, and then talk about 3 different types of content that a lot of musicians are posting that is absolutely killing their reach and by consequence killing their careers because they have no opportunity to reach these new fans that are going to be the lifeblood of their music career. So we have to figure this game out or else we're dead in the water. Okay, so stay locked in as we kind of break down deeper this idea of content, how to do it well, how to avoid doing it wrong so that we're, plateauing, right? So the first thing that we need to understand is that the key characteristics of content that actually performs is the following. We actually get their attention, we get their interest, we can build up a little bit of desire, and sometimes that comes from the setting and the context of everything that you've created in the video, which ultimately leads to connection. Okay, so those 4 C's are like, I call them captivate, catalepsy. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. Context, and then connection. So first of all, we have to captivate them. We have to capture their attention so that they're like, what are you doing? Now, what's catalepsy? Catalepsy is just when a muscle is frozen in motion. So we all know that when fans are out there scrolling through content, or when you and I are out there scrolling through content, our thumb is sort of like on this automatic kind of motory sensor, right? Well, to prevent people from scrolling past your video, you have to induce a freezing of this thumb muscle, right? And how do we do that? Well, we have to create interest. We have to get them interested in the outcome or the context or scenario of the video so that thumb goes into catalepsy and it doesn't just scroll away from our video, because if there's one thing that thumb likes to do once it gets going, according to inertia, is it's going to want to keep going, right? So we have to create stuff that creates captivation. Oh, okay, what's this going on right now? One way that you can do that is with curiosity. So sometimes instead of captivate, I'll put curiosity. So you have to build curiosity. So like, hey, what's going on here? That gets their attention. Then you induce that catalepsy because there's something interesting about the content. You build desire to see the outcome of this video or to hear the resolution or whatever. Then once you get to the end of it, you've created a connection that hopefully can drive them to take action, right? That's the whole idea. Now, what that action is can vary video to video to video. Sometimes the video ends with you giving them an action to go listen to the music on Spotify. Hey, go to Spotify, type this in right now. Go to Spotify right now. Type it in. It's spelled like this. Do this. That's one way of doing a call to action. You could say, hey, the link's in the bio, and you could drive people to a specific link, obviously. You could say, hey, DM me, and I'll get you hooked up with the early access to this new music. There's tons of call to actions that you can do, but you'll never be able to actually get people to take action unless they have that connection. How do we get the connection? We have to get them to desire finishing the video based on the context we've given them. Have to talk about something interesting so it gives that thumb some catalepsy, right? And we've captivated their attention with some curiosity. So hopefully you guys are understanding just the basic traits of a good piece of content. Now, here's the content most people have been putting out there, and hopefully you'll see why this content is not working, because it does not meet the criteria from what I've just laid out, okay? So let's go into the first type of video. This one, I'm going to try not to rant about it because that would actually be funny enough hypocritical. The whiny guilt trip rants on social media need to stop, okay? Because here's what happens. You'll get a lot of views sometimes. Sometimes you won't, because not a lot of people, I don't know if you know this, it's not fun to just sit there and listen to people complain. right? Especially when it's something you don't care about, right? So if you're a fan of music, generally speaking, and some artist or musician is complaining about how hard their job is, that doesn't resonate with the average fan of music. What it does resonate with is a bunch of disgruntled, upset musicians. So yeah, you'll get a lot of likes and comments from other musicians about how, oh yeah, I wish this, I wish that. But fans that you're trying to attract to actually enjoy your music want nothing to do with that. So what you can honestly end up doing is gaining a following of musicians who are just bitter and resentful, not fans desiring to listen to your music. So that can totally backfire on you. Take it like this. Empathy is the desired outcome usually of that. Artists are like, well, I want fans to know what I'm going through so they can empathize with my situation and then want to help me out. There's a difference between empathizing with a situation and being guilt-tripped into a situation. Think about those "In the Arms of an Angel." Think of those commercials. They're definitely guilt-tripping you into doing something. Now, how many times have you donated? I don't know about you, but I haven't donated a single nickel. Now, I've got 2 strays. I get a pass, okay? I don't want any of those people coming after me. But guess what? The guilt trip factor there only works on a certain type of person, right? Which that kind of commercial is geared towards. But most people get that and they just feel bad, but they can't have collective empathy for every stray animal in the planet and feel like their 15 cents is actually going to do something. You know what I'm saying? So most people don't do anything. So that's how people feel. You're like, yeah, go stream my music on Spotify. I'm like, you just complained for 7 minutes that doesn't make you any money. So why would I be incentivized to do that if I know this activity isn't really benefiting you? And then they backtrack and say, well, it does kind of benefit me, but it's just not at the numbers that I'd really like. See, all of the attitude, none of this works. Do you see what I'm saying? How convoluted and just like not kosher with a fan base that could become very easily. Because what you need to do instead of complaining and being like, I don't like that I have to post content. I don't like instead of doing that, do this. Spin your lack of exposure into a positive. How does one do that? Like every other marketer or anybody who's ever learned any bit of marketing. You market yourself as exclusive. So next time, instead of doing a guilt trip, try this headline instead on your video. Instead of saying, why it sucks to be a modern musician and nothing in life is fair, say something like this. Hey, we're not trending or anything, so your algorithm must be like next level, right? You see the difference in positioning there? In one example, it's boo-hoo, woe is me. And in the other situation, it's like, whoa, the algorithm just decided that you need to hear this. We're not trending or anything, so clearly your algorithm's like next level. That makes them feel like they just got something exclusive, like they just discovered something, right? They're the ones that are in on the OGs that discovered this new artist. Use it to your advantage. Don't use it to complain, because the only people that you will bring into your audience are other musicians who are really sad about this, instead of happy musicians who want to listen to your music. So that's the first type of content that we've got to just like put in a trash can, light on fire, and then like catapult into the sun. Let's never do that content again. Can we agree? High five, guys. We're going to high five and agree at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. We just agreed. No more of that content. Second type of content that I never want to see any of us make, right? And again, I'm a musician too, so I'm throwing myself in all of these categories as well. The music only, no headline, no video hook kind of videos that I see. There are tons of pieces of content out there that are just showcasing the music with a general kind of video, a general kind of visualizer. To me, visualizers are not super fantastic, short form content vehicles. I wouldn't do that for format. I wouldn't do that. It's not very engaging from a short form content perspective. It's just the wrong vibe. It's like going to the club and be like, put on some Miles Davis. They're like, what, dude? We're trying to bump and grind in here. You're playing back, Back in Blue or whatever it's called. Back in Blue. I think that's a Backstreet Boys album. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you know that Miles Davis record, the one that is apparently so big that I can't remember it right off the top of my head. But it's the big one. You know what I'm talking about, with John Coltrane and Bill Evans and all those guys. Anyway, the music alone is not interesting enough to capture people's attention in short-form content. Long-form content, sometimes people... Like, sometimes with my videos, people don't necessarily watch me sit here and throw my hands in the air and do all my fun pantomiming motions like I'm Dane Cook or something. Some people just listen to me, while they're doing other things. That may be the same thing with a lot of visualizer-based content. It's not 2001. We're not pulling up that Windows visualizer and just staring at it like, whoa, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, while watching or while listening to music. Most of us will put the visualizer on and we'll be like, oh, that's cool, but the main thing that we're doing is listening to it in the background, okay? So for short form video content, music alone is not the biggest catalyst. No headline means there's no context. When you look at like social media agencies that will post tens of thousands of pieces of content every single day because they have 1,000 clients that need to be posting X amount of times a day, and they just have this huge amount of volume and data that they can observe, one of the key things that they've observed from like Logan, I think it's Logan Forsyth, was talking about literally the headline is the biggest difference maker. Not the quality of your video, not the, oh, I can't find a cool mural that I can do my performance in front of, therefore it won't do good. No, that's not the stuff that really matters. The stuff that really matters is the headline, the text hook that you can put over a piece of content, because you could have really great quality, really bad quality, but if your headline is good enough, you can get some people to get engaged with the content, okay? So if your views are going down, that's the first place I'd start to analyze. Like if your views are not consistent or where you want them to be, you have to observe what are your headlines. So like on YouTube, that's your titles and your thumbnail titles. On Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all that stuff, it's that text headline that you put over the video. Start there. Start playing with those kind of things instead. And if, God forbid, if you don't have a headline, but you don't have the music playing in the background, you have to have some kind of video hook, if nothing else. Right? I've seen music-related content go well. I could speak words very good. No, I speak gooder than most. I've seen videos do well when it's music-related content where it's literally just an angled performance, right? But the angle's got some interest in it. Sometimes it's a musician with a really bright red capo, and they're sitting there doing this finger-style, very complicated, classical-looking composition. There's enough visual hooks there to get someone to pay attention, even if it's not, there's no context from a headline or something like that, right? Those kind of things can be cool. Like I've had one client a while ago who had a visual display of like his keyboard, but there was like a pedal board on top of the keyboard, and it was just like visually like, whoa, what's going on there? And those videos performed well. So you have to look at what is, if nothing else, I need a visual hook. But if I don't have a visual hook, the headline is the thing that's been proven to matter more. So if you can figure that piece of the puzzle out, don't worry so much about your visuals. But if you're sitting there like, I can't think of anything, but I've got this cool visual hook, then sometimes that's enough. So just kind of keep that in mind a little bit, okay? And by the way, if you're thinking about what kind of hook should I put, there's so many different hooks. There's so many different headlines that you could put over a video, but you have to think about it like this. I'll give you this bonus pro tip. View your headlines through the prism of cold, warm, or hot, okay? A hot prospect or a fan is someone who would just like, hey guys, we have a new song out. They're like, yes, I've listened to it 1,000 times since it was released 20 minutes ago. You're like, the math on that doesn't work out. How did you do that? And then you've got the warm leads that know, they're like in your genre, they're in your niche, your cultural kind of atmosphere. Maybe they've heard you, maybe they kind of like one of your pieces of content every now and then or have seen it, but they're not a huge like diehard or anything like that. And then you've got cold, people that don't even know you exist, right? Most of your content headlines should be targeted towards these people who don't even know you exist, right? So headlines like, this is a fun one, if you hate X, you'll love this. That's a fun play because most people say, if I love this, then you'll like this. That's the hook most people use. Why does that not work as well? Because you're making yourself the Pepsi to someone else's Coca-Cola instantly by comparison. You're saying, hey, you see, Taylor Swift, that's Coca-Cola. I'm like her, so if you like Taylor Swift, you might like me too. So they're like, oh, so you're like Pepsi, right? You're like Taylor Swift knockoff. And then you're like, no. And it's like, why do they think that? Well, because your marketing positioned you that way. Instead, you would want to say something like, if you like Taylor Swift music, if it took steroids and was goth in high school, then you'll like this music. Like, you see what I'm saying? Now it's not, here I'm the knockoff version of another thing. It's, I'm the cool, enhanced, different take version of something that is recognizable to you. So this is a way that you're like, okay, people in the cold, general population, mass population, in my particular genre, we call this the red ocean, if we're thinking metal, for example. All right, so people who, just kind of like Metallica and, the kind of big legacy bands, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, all those kind of bands, right? They like that stuff. You're going to communicate differently to those people than people who are on your text SMS list, who follow you and comment on every single post and will listen to everything you put out, buy everything you put out, and all that kind of stuff, right? A lot of people will communicate to cold audiences in a warm headline. It's a bad deal. Don't do that. Because then you're talking to people who don't know about you, don't really care, and you're like, my new song, out now. They're like, don't care. They don't care, they don't know, right? You use content that attracts them, builds them in, makes them warm. Then you do the warm headlines that, kind of warmth in even more these people who just kind of discovered you and are now interested. And now you get them to really know you, like you, enjoy your content, enjoy your music. And then once they become like, oh yeah, we love what you do, then it makes sense to be like, hey, listen now to this thing, right? Hey, experience the music now. Click the link in the bio. It makes sense to say that to those people. It does not make sense to say that to people who have never heard you or anything, okay? And then the final post type that most musicians should avoid because it's killing their reach is selling anything. And now sometimes selling, here's the funny irony in this. Selling includes Spotify. So wait a second, whoa. I thought we were going to drive people to Spotify. Yes, at the end of the video, when the value has already been provided, they've been entertained, they've been educated on something, right? Then you ask them to do something. But if the video starts out with, my new song is on Spotify, you're gone. Check out my brand new, hey guys, this is Dax from, that, I'm already gone. If you introduce yourself in your videos, like I've seen people who have great format ideas, but they screw up because they try to explain the format in the first few seconds. School of Hard Knocks is a really fun example. Can you imagine, instead of their video starting with, hey sir, because that's how every video starts, is he's trying to get the attention of some millionaire or billionaire that's going to give some advice, right? So every video starts with, hey sir. That's a hook, right? Can you imagine if every video started with like, hey, what's going on? My name is James, and I'm sitting here, and we're going to go find some millionaires and billionaires, and this is the show School of Hard Knocks, where I go and I just act. Like, already I've spent too much time talking about it. Just show me, bro. Like, that's what a lot of people need to stop doing in their content. Is like, yeah, my new song is out on Spotify, so you want to go listen to it now? You're selling. Stop selling. Providing value, and then being like, if you want to hear this song, type this in on Spotify. That's a different kind of call to action than starting the video, go to Spotify right now. And then obviously, hey, we got brand new merch. Check out this brand new merch. Hey, we got new t-shirts. Hey, People don't really want to do that because that blends into all the other sponsored posts and advertising that they're seeing that day, right? Which is pretty much most of their feed, most likely. So you need to understand that there's better places to do that, okay? One of the things that I teach my clients that's been probably one of the most effective things that we do is we learn how to sell through email and scaling through meta ads, right? Using that combination right there is a great way to actually start building some sales inside of your music business. But if you're out on content and you're posting in your story or you're doing that kind of stuff, it's not going to go very well, right? We have to have these specific mediums like our email list to sell to our fans in a way that actually feels personable and not just like, Billy Mays here, come to pick up my brand new t-shirt. It's only $25.99, whatever. That's not going to get anybody to do anything, especially nowadays, right? So getting into that place where content is about reaching those fans and turning them from cold to warm as you can get them, or cold to warm to hot if you can get them all the way down that spectrum, right? But bare minimum, the whole purpose of social media is take that cold audience that's never heard of you and bring them into knowing about you. Bare minimum, okay? So the only way we can do that is if we're making content that actually reaches people. So as long as we avoid the super whiny guilt trips that are inducing guilt, not empathy, and not turning our lack of exposure into some kind of exclusivity where it's like the algorithm decided that you needed this, right? And doing kind of those kind of hooks or those headlines. Those are going to do better for you than the whiny guilt trips. Make sure that you have a headline on every single video. Make the headline clear, legible, not some crazy font. Give it a background so it sticks out from the background and it's easy to read that way. And then also I would say in that sense, if you can't think of anything to say, if you've got a visual hook in your video, then that can be enough. But I think it's best to just start with the headline if nothing, all else fails. And then finally, don't sell anything, okay? If you're going to sell anything, provide ways for people to listen more. That's the way that we can quote unquote sell. Hey, I'm going to give you a way that you can get more stuff. If you want to get more stuff, if you want to learn more fun stories like I just told you on social media, join my email list, right? These micro commitments that we can get them to, so we can get them to the email list, right? Maybe you got to DM some people and do some outreach. That kind of stuff can really supercharge it because you're not waiting for people of their own volition to engage with you. You're starting the engagement. And there's definitely ways to do that that's not pushy. But if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, the like button, the notification bell, all that kind of good YouTube-y stuff. But also, if you want to learn this system in depth, I'm holding a weekend workshop here in Norman, Oklahoma, August 1st through the 3rd. It's going to be awesome. We're going to spend 3 days building out the systems that create content that attract the right fans. We're going to be showing you how to make emails that actually build rapport, and then how to sell things like a pro using stories without being a pushy kind of used car salesman, right? So if that's something that's interesting to you, click the link that's in the description, and I look forward to seeing you guys at Musicians Ignite Live. It's happening this Friday. I'm super excited for all of you that got your tickets. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have hot seats so people can get their stuff built and their questions answered in real time. Get your tickets if you haven't already. It's going to be amazing. Going to be a tight-knit group of people that are just there to increase their music business capacity, and I'm super excited to help y'all. So if you want to be one of the few awesome people that are in this cool tight-knit workshop, click the link that's in the description, and I'll see you on another video inside of Musicians Ignite. Take care.